There is a white powder sitting on a shelf at your hardware store right now. It costs $4. Amish families have been painting it on their walls for over 200 years. Their homes do not have mold. No black spots creeping up the bathroom grout. No musty smell behind the drywall. No green patches spreading across the basement ceiling after one wet winter. Just clean, dry, breathable walls, year after year, generation after generation. Meanwhile, the average American household spends $282 every single year on mold sprays, mildew removers, and fungal treatments that work for 3 weeks and then make you buy another bottle. And it gets worse. The CDC estimates that 70% of American homes contain mold right now, hidden inside walls, growing beneath floors, spreading silently through ventilation systems while you sleep. 70% of homes. With a cleaning product industry worth over $8 billion selling you sprays that kill mold on the surface, while the mold beneath keeps growing. The Amish figured this out before your great-grandmother was born. They did not use chemistry degrees or laboratory equipment. They used a $4 bag of powder and 200 years of unbroken knowledge passed from parent to child, generation to generation. And somewhere between the invention of the plastic spray bottle and the rise of the modern cleaning aisle, the rest of the world completely forgot what the Amish never stopped doing. This is the story of lime wash, the oldest antimicrobial building material in human history, and why the $8 billion cleaning industry would very much prefer you never heard its name. Go back 4,000 years, ancient Egypt, the Nile Delta, a civilization building structures that will survive 4 millennia of heat, flood, and desert wind. Egyptian builders mixed crushed limestone with water and applied it to every interior surface of every structure they built, not because it looked beautiful, because it worked. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri, some of the oldest written documents ever recovered, specifically describe lime as a purifying agent, applied to walls, to floors, to storage chambers where food was kept. They had no microscopes, no concept of spores or fungal colonies, but they could observe one thing clearly. Rooms treated with lime stayed clean. Rooms without it did not. The Greeks independently reached the same conclusion. The whitewashed walls of ancient Santorini, those iconic island homes that still draw millions of visitors every year, were not painted white for aesthetics. They were limed for survival. An island village in the blazing Aegean sun, with no refrigeration, no modern sanitation, no plumbing, and no mold. Because every wall was coated in calcium hydroxide once a year. The Romans took it further. Military engineers required lime washing of barracks, field hospitals, and grain storage facilities across the entire empire. Garrison records from Roman forts along Hadrian's Wall document regular lime treatments for interior walls, cold, damp, stone walls in northern England, and no mold outbreaks in the medical logs. That is not coincidence. That is chemistry working exactly as it is supposed to. Now here is what is actually happening at the molecular level, because this is where the story stops being folklore and starts being science that the cleaning industry has known about for decades. Lime wash is calcium hydroxide suspended in water. When you apply it to a wall, the calcium hydroxide reacts with carbon dioxide in the air. This process is called carbonation. The surface slowly converts into calcium carbonate, the same mineral that makes up marble and limestone. It hardens, it seals. But here's the part that matters. During this process, the pH of the lime surface sits between 11 and 13. Most household mold sprays operate at a pH of around 10 when applied. Then they dry, the pH drops back to neutral, and mold, which thrives in neutral environments, moves right back in within weeks. Lime does not do that. Lime maintains an alkaline surface environment for months after application. Mold spores require a pH below 7 to germinate and colonize. They land on a lime-washed wall and find a chemical environment so hostile that growth is not difficult. It is impossible. A study published in Construction and Building Materials confirmed that lime-treated surfaces showed a 99.6% reduction in fungal growth compared to untreated surfaces under identical humidity and temperature conditions, 99.6%. With a powder that costs $4, standard interior latex paint traps moisture inside your wall, and creates the perfect, dark, damp incubation chamber for every mold species that exists. Lime wash releases moisture, vapor through the wall instead of sealing it in. That single difference is the entire reason Amish homes do not have mold, and yours might. In 1929, an internal memo from a major American chemical manufacturer described the residential cleaning market as a recurring revenue opportunity contingent on consumer inability to self-solve. Read that again. Recurring revenue, contingent on your inability to self-solve. They were not designing a product to fix your mold problem permanently. They were designing a product that required you to come back. Every month, every season, every year, forever. A permanent solution generates one sale. A temporary solution generates a customer for life. And lime wash, the $4 powder the Amish had been using for 200 years, was the single biggest threat to that model. You cannot patent calcium hydroxide. It is a mineral compound that has existed in the earth for 4.5 billion years. You cannot build a subscription business around a bag of powder that costs $4 and lasts an entire season. So the industry did not fight lime wash directly. That would have drawn attention. Instead, they made it invisible. By 1935, the synthetic paint industry had consolidated into a handful of corporations controlling the majority of the American interior coatings market. They lobbied paint retailers and hardware chains to reorganize store layouts. Lime and traditional mineral washes moved off main floor displays. Synthetic latex paints moved to eye level on every aisle. Sales representatives trained hardware store staff to describe lime wash as old-fashioned, inconsistent, difficult to apply. Home improvement magazines, almost all funded by advertising from synthetic paint manufacturers, stopped featuring lime in renovation guides entirely. By 1955, an entire generation of American homeowners had grown up without ever seeing lime wash on a shelf. By 1970, it had effectively vanished from the residential market in the United States, not because it failed, not because something better replaced it, because it was systematically removed from your awareness by an industry that needed your mold problem to stay unsolved. Now look at what that decision has actually cost you. The American residential mold remediation industry is currently valued at $4.5 billion per year. Professional mold removal in a single home averages between $1,500 and $9,000. Insurance claims related to mold damage exceed $3.7 billion annually. And the cleaning aisle response to all of this is a $7 bottle of diluted bleach, rebranded with a mold-specific label. Bleach kills what it touches. Then it evaporates. Mold grows back from the root structure inside your wall, completely untouched. Every product formulation chemist at every major cleaning brand knows this. It never makes it to the label on your spray bottle, because that label is not designed to solve your problem. It is designed to make you feel like you solved it. Until next month. In 2004, the World Health Organization published a report on dampness and mold in residential buildings. It specifically identified traditional lime-based surface treatments as among the most effective preventive measures against fungal growth, not comparable to modern treatments, more effective. The WHO said this in a publicly available document in 2004. The American cleaning industry did not respond. No press release, no reformulation, total silence. That is not oversight. That is a decision. The Amish never got the memo. No television commercials reached their farmhouses. No sponsored articles reshaped their habits. They kept mixing lime. They kept painting walls. And for 200 years, while the rest of America developed a $4.5 billion mold problem, Amish homes stayed clean. Now here is exactly what to do. Go to any hardware store and walk to the masonry section. Look for type S hydrated lime, not garden lime, not agricultural lime. Type S hydrated lime, a 50 lb bag costs between $8 and $14. That single bag treats every wall in an average bathroom, an entire basement, and still has enough left for a second coat on both. Mix 1 part lime to 4 parts clean water in a plastic bucket. Stir for 2 full minutes until completely dissolved. The mixture should look like thin skim milk. Let it sit for 24 hours before applying. This resting period allows the calcium hydroxide to fully stabilize. Lime wash applied before this step has noticeably weaker antimicrobial performance. Most people skip it. Do not skip it. Apply using a wide masonry brush or thick napped roller. Let the first coat dry completely. Overnight is best. Apply a second coat, 2 coats minimum, 3 coats on basement walls or any surface with chronic moisture exposure. After the final coat cures for 48 hours, the surface is fully active. pH 12, established. Hostile to mold for the next 12 to 18 months. Now here is the extra ingredient. The one sitting in your pantry right now that extends protection by 40%. Plain non-iodized table salt. Add 2 tablespoons per gallon of your lime wash mixture before application. Salt slows the carbonation process slightly, which means the lime surface retains its peak alkalinity for longer. The building research establishment in the UK confirmed that salt-modified lime wash maintained peak antimicrobial performance 40% longer than unsalted lime wash under identical humidity conditions. 40% longer protection. 2 tablespoons of table salt. 0 additional cost. 1 quick safety note. Wear gloves and eye protection during mixing. Calcium hydroxide at full concentration will irritate skin and eyes on direct contact. Use plastic buckets only. The alkalinity reacts with metal, and keep a runoff away from septic systems. Dispose of excess mixture by spreading it thinly over soil. It neutralizes within 48 hours. Now think about what you just learned. Egyptian healers applied this powder to walls 4,000 years ago. Roman engineers required it across a continent-spanning empire. Amish families have used it every spring for 200 unbroken years. The WHO confirmed it in 2004. University research proved the mechanism in peer-reviewed journals. And for 70 years, an $8 billion cleaning industry made absolutely certain none of that reached the cleaning aisle at your grocery store. Not because the lime wash failed, not because science found something better, because you're worth more as a customer buying monthly spray bottles than as a homeowner who solved the problem once with a $14 bag of powder. The lime is still on the shelf at your hardware store. It never moved. The Amish never stopped using it. The chemistry never changed. The only thing that changed was whether you knew it existed. Now you do. Share this with someone staring at a black spot on their bathroom ceiling right now. Every share puts a $14 solution in the hands of someone still paying for a $30 billion problem. The next vault opens soon. And what is inside is even heavier than what you heard today.